Good morning. We now present a staged reading of excerpts from Margaret Atwood's novel, The Handmaid's Tale, which was published in 1985. It is set in Massachusetts when a militarized, theocratic regime has seized control and women are not allowed to work, own property, or even read. There's a fertility crisis, and the newly formed Republic of Gilead has declared all second marriages and non-marital liaisons to be adulterous. On the grounds that these wives and mothers are morally unfit, they are arrested and their children are taken to be adopted by childless couples of the upper echelons. These women then become handmaids and are assigned to the government's commanders who have barren wives, so that the handmaids can procreate. Before being dispatched, the handmaids are trained by a severe group of older women known as aunts. In this production, you will hear the voice of Aunt Lydia from offstage. The author, Margaret Atwood, hesitates to call her novel science fiction because all of the restrictions and circumstances she incorporated into the reign of the Republic of Gilead were modeled after events that had happened sometime in history and are not beyond the scope of reality. She writes, quote, "Is The Handmaid's Tale a prediction? That is the question I'm asked increasingly as forces within American society seize power and enact decrees that embody what they were saying they wanted to do even back in 1984. When I was writing this novel, no, it isn't a prediction, because predicting the future isn't really possible. There are too many variables and unforeseen possibilities. Let's say it's an anti-prediction. If this future can be described in detail, maybe it won't happen. But such wishful thinking cannot be depended on either," unquote. And so, the tale unfolds.
Blessed be the fruit.
May the Lord open.
The pair of us, and in front of us another pair, and across the street another. We must look good from a distance, picturesque, like Dutch milkmaids on a wallpaper frieze, like a shelf full of period costume ceramic salt and pepper shakers, like a flotilla of swans or anything that repeats itself with at least minimum grace and without variation, soothing to the eye, the eyes, for that's who this show is for. We aren't allowed to go anywhere except in twos. This is supposed to be for our protection, though we are well protected already. The truth is that she is my spy, as I am hers. If either of us slips through the net because of something that happens on one of our daily walks, the other will be accountable. This woman has been my partner for 2 weeks. I don't know what happened to the one before. On a certain day, she simply wasn't there anymore, and this one was there in her place. It isn't the sort of thing you ask questions about because the answers are not usually answers you want to know. Under his eyes.
Blessed be the fruit.
May the Lord open.
It was after the catastrophe when they shot the president and machine gunned the Congress, and the army declared a state of emergency. They blamed it on Islamic fanatics at the time. "Keep calm," they said on television. "Everything is under control." I was stunned. Everyone was. I knew that. It was hard to believe. The entire government gone like that. How did they get in? How did it happen? That was when they suspended the Constitution. They said it would be temporary. There wasn't even any rioting in the streets. People stayed home at night, watching television, looking for some direction. There wasn't even an enemy you could put your finger on. "Look out," said Moira to me over the phone. "Here it comes." "Here what comes?" I said. "You wait," she said. "They've been building up to this. It's you and me up against the wall, baby." She was quoting an expression of my mother's, but she wasn't intending to be funny. Under his eye.
Ordinary is what you are used to. This may not seem ordinary to you now, but after a time, it will. It will become ordinary.
Blessed be the fruit.
May the Lord open.
I used to think of my body as an instrument of pleasure, or as a means of transportation, or an implement for the accomplishment of my will. I could use it to run, push buttons of one sort or another, make things happen. There were limits, but my body was nevertheless live, single, solid, one with me. Now, the flesh arranges itself differently. I'm a cloud, congealed around a central object, the shape of a pear, which is hard and more real than I am, and glows red within its translucent wrapping. Inside it is a space, huge as the sky at night, and dark and curved like that, though black-red rather than black. Pinpoints of light swell, sparkle, burst and shrivel within it, countless as stars. Every month there is a moon, gigantic, round, heavy, an omen. It transits, pauses, continues on and passes out of sight, and I see despair coming towards me like famine. To feel that empty, again, again. I listen to my heart, wave upon wave, salty and red, continuing on and on, marking time. Under his eye.
For generations that come after, it will be so much better. The women will live in harmony together, all in one family. You will be like daughters to them. And when the population level is up to scratch again, we'll no longer have to transfer you from one house to another, because there will be enough to go around. There can be bonds of real affection under such conditions. Women united for a common end, helping one another in their daily chores as they walk the path of life together, each performing her appointed task. Why expect one woman to carry out all the functions necessary to the serene running of a household? It isn't reasonable or humane. Your daughters will have greater freedoms. We are working towards the goal of a little garden for each one of you, and that's just one for instance. But we can't be greedy pigs and demand too much before it's ready now, can we?
Blessed be the fruit.
May the Lord open.
We've given them more than we've taken away, said the commander. Think of the trouble they had before. Don't you remember the singles bars, the indignity of high school blind dates, the meat market? Don't you remember the terrible gap between the ones who could get a man easily and the ones who couldn't? Some of them were desperate. They starved themselves thin, or pumped their breasts full of silicone, had their noses cut off. Think of the human misery. They were always complaining. Problems this, problems that. Remember the ads in the personal columns? Bright, attractive woman, 35. This way, they all get a man. Nobody's left out. And back then, if they did marry, they could be left without a kid, 2 kids, and the husband might just get fed up and take off, disappear. They'd have to go on welfare. Money was the only measure of worth for everyone. They got no respect as mothers. No wonder they were giving up on the whole business. This way, they're protected. They can fulfill their biological destinies in peace, with full support and encouragement. Now, tell me, you're an intelligent person. I'd like to hear what you think. What did we overlook? Love, I said. Love? Said the commander. What kind of love? Falling in love, I said. The commander looked at me with his candid boy's eyes. Oh, yes, he said. I've read the magazines. That's what they were pushing, wasn't it? But look at the stats, my dear. Was it really worth it? Falling in love? Under his eye.
Blessed be the fruit.
May the Lord open.
Women were not protected then. I remember the rules. Rules that were not spelled out, but that every woman knew. Don't open your door to a stranger, even if he says he is the police. Make him slide his ID under the door. Don't stop on the road for a motorist pretending to be in trouble. Keep the locks on and keep going. If anyone whistles, don't turn to look. Don't go into a laundromat by yourself at night. I think about laundromats, what I wore to them, shorts, jeans, jogging pants, what I put into them, my own clothes, my own soap, my own money I had earned myself. I think about having such control. Now we walk along these same streets in red pairs, and no man shouts obscenities at us, speaks to us, touches us. No one whistles. Under his eye.
There is more than one kind of freedom. Freedom to and freedom from. In the days of anarchy, there was freedom to. Now you are being given freedom from. Don't underrate it.
Blessed be the fruit.
May the Lord open.
But we lived as usual. Everyone does, most of the time. Whatever is going on is usual. Even this is as usual now. We lived as usual by ignoring. Ignoring isn't the same as ignorance. You have to work at it. Nothing changes instantaneously. In a gradually heating bathtub, you'll be boiled to death before you knew it. There were stories in the newspapers, of course, corpses in ditches or the woods, bludgeoned to death or mutilated, interfered with, as they used to say. But they were about other women, and the men who did such things were other men. None of them were men we knew. The newspaper stories were like dreams to us, bad dreams, dreamt by others. How awful, we would say, and they were. But they were awful without being believable. They were too melodramatic. They had a dimension that was not the dimension of our lives. We were the people not in the papers. We lived in the blank, white spaces at the edges of print. It gave us more freedom. We lived in the gaps between the stories. Under his eye.
The spectacles women used to make of themselves, oiling themselves like roast meat on a spit, and bare backs and shoulders on the street, in public, and legs, not even stockings on them. No wonder those things used to happen. Such things do not happen to nice women in the park, lying on blankets, men and women together sometimes. I'm doing my best. I'm trying to give you the best chance you can have. Don't think it's easy for me either.
Blessed be the fruit.
May the Lord open.
We sit on our benches facing one another as we are transported. We're without emotion now, almost without feeling. We might be bundles of red cloth. We ached. Each of us holds in her lap a phantom, a ghost baby. What confronts us, now the excitement's over, is our own failure. Mother, I think, wherever you may be. Can you hear me? You wanted a woman's culture. Well, now there is one. It isn't what you meant, but it exists. Be thankful for small mercies. Under his eye.
Cue the music. No, there's no music? We're going to do the acapella?
If you know this song, please feel free to join in.
I am woman, hear me roar, in numbers too big to ignore, and I know too much to go back and pretend. 'Cause I've heard it all before, and I've been down there on the floor. No one's ever gonna keep me down again. Oh yes, I am wise, but is wisdom born of pain? Yes, I paid the price, but look how much I gained. If I have to, I can do it.